There are a few things you need to know before hitting the road. From the bricks on the ground to the bricks on the wall, almost everything at the original University of Virginia built by slaves. But in the next room over, a technician is controlling everything. One thing that isn't covered in the current driver's ed curriculum, what to do when you see a police officer pull you over. Right now, the crowd is listening to people talk. Let me show you what's going on. On this side, you have people who are in support of the statue. I tried getting some answers about what happened at Korsness's house. No one answered. Now the latest is coming from this data right here, released to CBS 19. They take them and they hand them off to the Habitat for Humanity store where they sell the little seedlings that these kids have raised. The goal is so that show can continue working for airplanes like this one far into the future. From the windows to the walls, this entire structure looks brand new for students and faculty to enjoy. There's some businesses right off the bridge, like Barbie's Burrito Barn, that are a little worried about the impact that these changes will have in the next several months.
The bridge does affect me a bit.
Barbie's Burrito Barn just opened 5 months ago.
I found this tiny little place under the Belmont Bridge that I thought was perfect.
Owner Barbara Brannick, aka Barbie, sells California-style Mexican burritos.
The food I grew up on, that my mother cooked, and I just hung in the kitchen with her and learned. Where you go, sir?
Most of Barbara's customers walk to her on the Belmont Bridge.
I have lots of regulars that come at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, and they walk over from City Hall over and have lunch.
But the only open sidewalk on the bridge has to close. The city says conditions have degraded too much for people to walk on it.
It's going to have a lot of effect with the foot traffic coming to my restaurant.
Fortunately for Barbie's Burrito Barn, the city is listening.
But we know that pedestrian access is very important in this area, and so what's going to happen is that the pedestrian traffic and also bicycle traffic will actually move into the roadway.
At the end of February, part of the road will become the new sidewalk, dividing people from cars with a jersey wall.
The bridge itself for vehicular traffic is still perfectly safe and perfectly capable of holding not only the concrete barriers, but vehicles and pedestrians.
It's good news for one burrito barn that calls the Belmont Bridge home.
I say, come on, come on. We'll find a place for you to park if you can't walk.
An optimistic Barbara, she tells me that she thinks her business will still do well, even though changes to the Belmont Bridge come in the next several years. Now, to go back to what the city is saying, let me show you what Ms. Dickler was talking about. So this structure is the sidewalk, and this structure is the road, and they're actually two different structures. So even though the sidewalk is closed, this part of the bridge is still in pretty good condition.
So he filmed this entire finding food on his iPhone and gives us a first-hand look at the island and food of Cuba.
This is modern-day Havana, a bustling city still frozen in 1959 after the communist takeover by Fidel Castro. But its people continue to push forward, and cars built in the 50s still running today. In recent years, Havana has improved significantly thanks to a steady flow of tourists from places like Canada, Argentina, and Russia who come to Cuba to enjoy some major tourist attractions like La Floridita, the bar in Old Havana where Ernest Hemingway invented the daiquiri. But as Cuba molds itself into a new tourist hotspot, its authenticity starts to fade, which is why I went with my cousin Eugel some 278 miles east of Havana on back roads and crumbling highways to the town of Moron, known for its gallo, a cast iron rooster that has come to symbolize the town's spirit. Outside of Havana, the island of Cuba is much more humble. The houses are more functional than beautiful, and only a few people can afford cars. But Cubans still manage to smile, especially when they're eating, which is why we went to Don Papas, the top restaurant in Moron, and as real as it gets to true Cuban food. Don Papas is a typical Cuban restaurant. There are no windows, and the tablecloths are made of plastic. On the wall hangs a picture of Fidel Castro over a Cuban flag, and underneath that, a boombox that plays reggaeton music. But despite its modest appearance, the food is some of the best I've ever had. On the other side of a retaining wall resides an open-air kitchen, where the restaurant prepares what little food there is on the island for its hungry guests. Today's special, and the only thing available on the menu, chuleta de cerdo, pork chops. The pork chops, seasoned in the open air, are cooked on a makeshift grill while feet away. Rice is picked clean of stones on the same table where the restaurant counts its money. Or when the plate is brought to the table, filled with yuca in the middle, congrio on top, and cerdo on the side, it's easy to forget you're thousands of miles from home in the heart of a communist country. Especially when the band starts to play their own Cuban rendition of the Beatles. In Havana, Tomas Harmon, CBS 19 News. She says it was one of the worst 5 days of her life, and her son is far from the only one to run away from the STARS program.
He's always trying to make people laugh.
15-year-old Isaiah Reinert got in trouble with the law when he was 14. After serving his time, he ended up in Charlottesville at STARS, a program for at-risk teens.
The foster care system said he needed to be put in a group home to see how he could adjust to being back out in the public. Here's one.
Tracy Reinert is Isaiah's mother. She doesn't have custody of him, but she sees him all the time. For her, STARS sounded like a good deal.
I was okay with it because, one, it was closer to home.
But a month into arriving, Isaiah ran away.
You know, I just didn't know how he's out there making it on the street. He was only 15.
I talked to police about runaways from STARS. It turns out from December 2015 to November, police took 65 reports of runaways from the program's 4 homes.
Our first response is to go to the location, meet with the reporting party, take a report, do an initial investigation, and once we've taken that report, we have 2 hours to get that into the Virginia Missing Persons Clearinghouse. When a teen from STARS runs away, police notify several agencies like social services. They also put out a call with information on the missing teen. Fortunately, most teens return to STARS after just a few hours. Specifically with STARS, a lot of times they're back, sometimes before we even get a chance to get the paperwork completed. What's more, police say it tends to be the same kids that run away over and over again. STARS would not talk on camera, but they did talk to me on the phone. They say part of the issue, they're licensed as a hands-off facility, which means they can't physically stop teens like Isaiah from running away. Police can. We do have the authority to take them into custody and return them. Police do have some idea as to why teens at STARS go AWOL. Most of the reasons they leave is the same reason why a child would leave from their own house. They get into an argument, they want to go out, they have rules that they have to follow. They don't like them, so they need to leave and blow off some steam, and they're usually back shortly thereafter. It's a rare event from STARS that they're gone for an extended period of time. But Isaiah was gone for an extended period of time, so his mom started searching.
So it was pretty much just me that first day. You know, I didn't know the type of people he was with, if he was cold, if he was hungry.
On day 5, Reinert got her big break from a homeless man on the downtown mall who said Isaiah was staying with a girl at the UVA Medical Center.
I ran up there to the room as fast as I could and turned around the corner into the door, and he was there. And I just... Sorry. I just said, Isaiah. And I ran over there and I hugged him and I was like, where have you been?